This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hey everybody, look at that picture. I kept it, we ended with it yesterday, and I wanted to start with it today because it brings me such great joy. That is the meetup of Mark Thompson's show listeners. I assume some of you also listen to the After Party live here on YouTube as well, and the Nikki Maduro show. So it's kind of this community forming. And this meetup that happened at Testarossa Winery in Los Gatos over the weekend, I just love the happy faces and the camaraderie. So really cool picture. Hey, everybody, it's Travel Tuesday. Thank you for being here on the After Party Live and for your patience. I had a little bit of technical trouble today. Sometimes I have two computers. I have this one, which I only use for the camera. And then I have this one down below, which has all my other information on it. So the one down below never falters, knock on wood, now that I said that, right? The one up above, the cursor just magically disappears. So I'm constantly having to reboot. So my apologies for that. And that means that we have to kind of jump right into it. But I do want to ask you if you could please click the like button. I would really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed to this show, please subscribe to it as well. Those things are free, easy ways to support the show. Thank you to everyone who emails me with suggestions and stories. I got a new one from Lori with a really cool story that I'll put into the show for tomorrow. But also for the financial support as well that keeps this crowd-funded show rolling. And my Aloha sister Rhonda throws down $5 in the super sticker. It says love, or super chat, I should say. Love you, lady. Wish more love. I do wish more love. And I love that picture of you. So cute. And thank you so much. Aloha to you. And thank you for spending your part of your afternoon anyway here on the after parties. Huge thank you. Thank you to Wes, who is a daily contributor as well. I could tell you, and Wes has started to contribute more via PayPal than on the super chat super stickers. I can tell you, oh, it won't let me log in, that every day he throws down $5. So huge thank you to Wes as well. Okay, let's get into it. I know I saw, oh, okay. Before I jump in, I saw this. Jeff Calvert writing, did Julia go to New York for band? Yeah, she did. She did last year. That was the band trip last year. Since you asked, Jeff, I will tell you she had the best time. They went to this theater. They were taking tours of theaters. And she also got to walk past Juilliard several times. And that, just seeing Juilliard and getting to walk in and stand on the steps, has made her think that she wants to go there. Whether that's realistic or not, I'm not going to dash anyone's dreams, but this is kind of a new goal. Maybe she's thinking about, even if not there, maybe a music major. Who knows? We'll see how that works out. This year, the high school marching band trip is to Disneyland, and she is with the Santa Rosa Youth Symphony. And along with that, a trip to Europe to perform in these, I don't want to call them ancient, but historic old venues in Germany and the Netherlands. And that's a $7,000 trip. So it sounds really fun until you look at the bill, but I'm sure it'll be a great experience for her. And so that's the latest with band. So this year, Disneyland and Germany and the Netherlands. So that's where we're doing. This band thing takes you on a lot of travels. Who knew? Okay, so let's start the show. Let's see. Karen, I have never eaten or consumed anything pumpkin spice except pie long ago. Okay, nice. Oh, yeah, I think it will be a blast. Okay. Oh, is pumpkin spice not a Black person thing? I didn't know this either. Things you learn. I don't know. I'll tell you, my daughter loves pumpkin spice. The more pumpkin spice, once my husband, they were in Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's has like pumpkin spice galore, and they came home with an entire grocery bag full of pumpkin spice stuff, and some of it was pretty gross. I'm just gonna say, some of it's good. I heard Trader Joe's has excellent pumpkin ice cream. I wouldn't think that would be really good, but apparently they sell out of it. So if you're loving the pumpkin stuff, the pumpkin ice cream is for you. Maybe that's a white person thing. I don't know, Rhonda. I'm not sure. We'll pumpkin it up together. We'll cross all the color barriers, right? Hello, Rev. Nice to see everybody today. Ms. Organic prefers chestnut praline to pumpkin spice. All right. You know what? As long as we're getting our fall on, we're feeling in the spirit and the autumn spirit. We did our Halloween story about the hanging bodies yesterday, so that was fun. Elise says, it is totally a white lady thing, and I am that lady. That's hilarious. I had no idea that there was a racial divide in pumpkin spice love. That's funny. Oh my gosh. All right, well, let's jump into some of these stories. Oh, before I do though, I do want to show you this picture, the poppies over the Pacific Ocean along the Mendocino coast. I wanted to travel to Mendocino last week and we didn't have time to get that far north. So this Travel Tuesday will be visiting Mendocino and looking at the best things to do in Mendocino. Really, a lot of us. Now I know there's some of us in other states, but many of us are in California. So not too far if we wanted to just pop up to the coast for a couple of days, not too expensive, right? We'll go to more exotic locales virtually next week, but this week we're staying in California and we'll go see the poppies along Mendocino. Let's talk about this guy. Ugh. This is you say Gila monster? Yeah. I've heard it pronounced with an H, Gila. I say Gila monster. But the Gila monster's spit, I don't know who tested this, has inspired a new way to detect rare pancreatic tumors. Who knew? Who knew? This is a big ass lizard. It's about a foot and a half long, bumpy pink, black scales, squat body. Yeah. These are one of the only two known lizard species in the world that can produce venom. It's not usually fatal, but it's also really, really painful. It causes you also, along with the pain, nausea, vomiting, what have you. But now we know inside the Gila monster spit is a substance showing major promise in helping detect hard to find pancreatic tumors. So when, on the rare occasions, a Gila monster does bite someone, there are beta cells responsible for producing insulin in the pancreas. Uh, well, I shouldn't say when. Let's just aside from the bite of this lizard. All right, these cells are responsible for producing insulin in the pancreas. They can malfunction, and they can form these small tumors. They're called insulinomas. And often they're benign, but they can lower your blood sugar because it causes you to overproduce insulin. And if you already have diabetes, it's a big problem. It can result in low energy, fainting. The tumors are usually smaller than an inch. They can be hard to diagnose or locate. Now, Gila monster spit apparently can help assess insulinomas. Yes, before this was very, very difficult. It took a long time to confirm the presence of these things. Very challenging. This new study published in the Journal of Nuclear Medicine, they said they can perform blood tests, but they can't confirm if a tumor is the cause or where it's located. CT, MRIs, and PET scans are available, but they don't always show these little tumors. So in the past, surgeons would start cutting away parts of your pancreas until they found it. If it was the end, the entire pancreas would be gone. So there's a nuclear medicine professor and the co-author of this study. His name's Martin Gotthard. He says you can live without a pancreas, but you'd struggle with severe diabetes. You would constantly have to manage your blood sugar. So they really needed to find a better way to deal with all this. And they knew that there was some kind of promising utility in the saliva of these Gila monsters. And they had done research before about the substance found in their spit. It apparently has this high affinity for binding to specific molecules in insulinomas. I mean, how they even know this is crazy. The substance in the saliva, they said, wasn't very stable in the human body. So they decided that they were going to develop a more chemically stable synthetic version. They call it extendin. And they combined it with a radioactive tracer. And then they used it in these nuclear medicine scans called PET scans. They looked at 69 adult patients with a suspected case of insulinoma to go these extended PET scan combos. And the PET scans detected tumors 65% of the time. The Gila monster derived option did so with a 95% accuracy rate. In instances where the extended PET scan was combined with CT and MRIs, 13% of those insulinoma identifications were solely thanks to extended PET procedures. Once they found out that the patients had it, that they were able to remove these tumors. They hope to do more research into the benefits of this new extendin and how it can be used to treat insulinoma and whether it can be worked into modified PET scans and medical facilities everywhere. But they said they think this new scan can replace all other scans for this. The patients were completely cured after surgery. Some of them had been sick for decades, all thanks to Gila monster spit or Gila monster spit, whatever you want to call it. I mean, just the thought of how you would know that the spit of this creature had this particular property, I don't I mean, how do you what's the chance finding that leads you to this particular, let's test this out, right? But it looks like this is something that is really promising. I saw this story and I thought immediately it looks like a sponsored ad on this website. No, it's not a sponsored ad, but I'm gonna treat this story as a sponsored ad, right? I mean, because they're just trying to sell us this thing. But if you have a cat and one of your most unfavorite chores is the whole kitty litter situation, I saw this on KTLA. Okay, this story. It's a $600 robot litter box and it's being called life changing. Okay, $600. That's a lot of money for a litter box. But here's what it does. It's it's called the M1 open top self-cleaning cat litter box. It's kind of a long name. And they had a reporter test it. They got a bunch of kittens from a local uh, animal society, and they decided that they were going to test this robot cat litter device. They say here that this it's the company is Nia Casa, Neakasa, Nia Casa. It's got this open air design you see here that cats seem to prefer because they can look around while they're doing their business. And once the cat exits the top of the litter box, the system waits for the litter to clump a little bit before beginning the cleaning process so that your cat has a fresh place to go every single time. There's an app that I guess tings on your phone that tells you when it's time to add more litter and when it's time to empty the bin. There are even stats like cat health stats. When your cat went in, for how long was your cat in the robo litter box? How much does your cat weigh each time? And they have little records. Today's record: one usage frequency, one cleaning, smart cleanup completed. The cat's name is Jubilee that they tested. Jubilee entered, stayed for 1 minute 59 seconds, weighed 6.38 pounds. The person testing this said the takeaway is that the boxes are pricey, but they're a game changer. And they talked to a vet who said that the number one reason that cats are turned into shelters is because of litter boxes. I did not know this, and I cannot verify that it's true. But according to this vet, automation is convenient for humans. It's not, they say, always best for animals. Um, so I don't know if that's true. There's a Whisker litter robot 4, which costs $700. The Nia Casa, which was reviewed here, costs 600. Both, according to this reporter, seem well constructed, have safety sensors that stop any motion if a disturbance is detected during the cleaning process, which can apparently be dangerous for animals if it malfunctions or something. But the high price tag is what keeps people from doing this. So they say stay manual. You want to scoop litter boxes out at least once a day. If you have scoopable litter, it's super easy. But other people are thinking, hey, I might not have to scoop the litter box. So this one vet that was interviewed for this article says, no, stay away from these things. But the reporter says this seemed to work really, really well. I don't know. For those of you with cats, maybe this is an easier thing. And when you look at, spreading out that 600 bucks, if you look at it as, how much per day you're paying not to have to scoop the litter, I don't know. Miss Organic says the robot 4, she knows someone that has that. Number 1, they say is probably the cat box. Number 2 is probably the hair and dander. Teacher Lori says no, because litter boxes, because going outside the litter boxes. Oh, you think that's the number one reason? Yeah, maybe. Karen Cooper recommending a TV series, My Cat from Hell, to learn a lot about cat behavior. A litter box for the rich people. Ms. Organic says sounds beep either way. Yeah. Cameo says, how about a conveyor belt litter box that goes outside would even be better? Yeah, we'll take it outside for you. Ugh, gross. Well, I don't know. I mean, if it clumps together, if it cleans it for you, if your cat has a safe, fresh place to go every single time, if spending $600 for something that would give you several years of not having to scoop cat poop would make your life better, I wouldn't have a problem with that. Elise says, my cat uses the neighbor's rose bushes. Seems to work great for me. Oh, no. Wes says, is it safe if you have multiple cats? What if it's spinning when a new cat jumps in? Hmm. I think they have it has a sensor. It has sensors in there. I don't think that's possible. And I don't think you could have more than one cat at a time in there because the opening looks pretty small. I don't know. Oh, test it and get back to us, Wes. Not sure, but I don't know how that all works out. Maybe more research is needed. Yeah. Uh-oh. My wife has this thing in our Amazon cart. Okay, now that we know you're buying it, you have to give us the update and the test, okay? Okay, thank you, Rhonda, because that's what this vet says, but only if they malfunction. That it's the malfunctioning part of it that can hurt your animal. However, the reporter says these two top of the line expensive hoop-de-doo cat litter things, those are the ones that are sturdy and are looking good and seem to work well. So that's why the vet said to stay away from them. But who knows? We'll see. We'll hear from BA Ware how it works out at your house. I don't know. All right, let's move on from cat litter to more important things. We do have a story to talk about. Oh, let me go back to the pictures. Uh, about these little fossil eggs. I mean, I wouldn't even know what I was looking at, but somebody knew. These are the smallest dinosaur eggs, smallest fossilized dinosaur eggs ever found. These are 80 million year old eggs you're looking at, and they were laid by a newly discovered species. 6 remarkably well-preserved dinosaur eggs were found near a construction site in the Chinese region of Ganzhou. There was a lab team that came, took them, and analyzed them, a team of paleontologists, a team of evolutionary experts, and geoscientists. They say the specimens aren't just some of the most complete dinosaur eggs ever found, they are officially the smallest known to scientists. You can find more about this in the journal Historical Biology. They think this find is significant for our understanding of the evolution of theropods in the late Cretaceous period. These small eggs, there are 6 of them, they only measure about 1.14 inches in length. That's barely half the previous record holder's length, if you're keeping track of such things. But examining this find uh, went beyond just looking at their size. They had to use specialized lab equipment. They utilized the electron microscopy and the electron backscatter diffraction tools to examine some of the smallest details about these little dinosaur eggs, like the shell thickness, the pore system. Other attributes were unlike any known non avian theropod, leading the team to establish a new genus and a new species, as well as ootaxation, double O's for ovary, right? Ootaxation, egg taxonomic classification. So they call it the mini Oolithus ganjunensis. Okay. It's in the same condition as when it was first found. So because they didn't really touch it because they used all these different tools to examine it and didn't break it apart and didn't have to mess with it. So it's in the same shape. They've been looking at this thing for a couple of years and they say that it has already helped them better understand how dinosaurs built their nests. They think it will help them learn more about theropod dinosaur reproductive and evolutionary developments. They would like to use micro CT scanning to reconstruct the overall burial site, which will assist maybe in identifying what kind of dinosaur laid these types of eggs. So there you go. Another great find from the Ganju fossil grounds. Super cool, little teeny tiny dinosaur eggs. This one I thought Wes might enjoy. This is a new, and I think everyone will enjoy it. This is a new type of material that you can use in your 3D printer. It's all about being more sustainable, getting away from plastic. This is called Repit. Repit. It's a 3D printing filament made from leftover date pits. Hey, better for the world. It's a plastic-free filament for 3D printing using wasted date seeds. They have it on display at Dutch Design Week. They're being called repit is kind of a play on words from the word repeat. It's a composite material designed to offer a more sustainable alternative to the thermoplastic filaments traditionally used by 3D printers to build up objects layer by layer. So the team that made it, it's called the NAWA team, NAWA. They source date pits from palm trees at their shared farm in Oman, where the fruit grows in abundance. Usually the seeds are just left lying around, but they wanted to create another life for these seeds. And so they did. The date seeds were crushed and mixed with natural Omani clay and palm fibers to make an iteration of traditional water-resistant lime mortar called sarouge. Sarouge is something they use back home, usually to build houses with. The material has zero plastic in it. It's made from only natural materials. They're showing 15 different 3D printed tiles with decorative undulating patterns informed by the shape of sand dunes. The tiles were fire glazed in the same way you would finish any type of ceramic. So here is more another picture you can see of this repit. It's kind of pretty in a way, I think, and sustainable. I mean, How do you go wrong with that? I don't know if you need a special 3D printer in order to use this type of sustainable material. There are the glazed colored versions of the repit. Kind of cool. It's pretty artful, seems like anyway. So they're still in the preliminary stages of developing this date-based filament. They only started experimenting with this a few months ago, but they have plans to upscale repit so it can be spooled into any fused deposition modeling 3D printer. And we know, because we keep track of such things, that in 2022, the global date palm industry produced about 975,000 tons of date seeds, which really they usually just dump. And they could be used to build stuff. That's pretty cool. They want to transform date seeds into this sustainable 3D printing material. I like it a lot. So there you go. Date seeds for everyone. Pretty soon we'll all be saving our seeds. This story is a little creepy. I I don't know what motivated someone to experiment on the smell of death and how it affects human beings. But scientists decided they needed to see how we react to the smell of death. And it's different for different creatures. So this story starts with flies and the knowledge that flies can smell a dead body from miles away. They can even dig down more than 6 feet and wriggle into a coffin to lay their eggs, and they're lured in by chemical signals. And then they go on to say, but it's not just flies that react to the smell of death, that it can have a surprising influence on human behavior as well. And we don't even realize that we're smelling this. So when humans die, and also the smell of rotting meat as well, it releases something called putrescin. Putrescin. It's responsible for this horrendous smell that comes from rotting meat, whether that's human or otherwise. And so these scientists were trying to figure out if that could constitute a threat signal that brings about defensive and escape related behaviors in humans. Why would rotting flesh smell so horribly unless it was meant for us to take some type of action? So I'll spare you the details, but there were about four different experiments in how they presented the smell of putrescin to humans. And you were randomly assigned to one of these four groups that looked at four different things. And in the end, we'll fast forward to the end. The study found exposure to putrescin resulted in heightened vigilance among participants, even when they weren't aware that they were smelling it. Participants in the putrescin condition seemed to walk faster in the escape experiments. You had to walk away a certain number of feet when you smelled this. They exhibited more hostility and defensive behaviors than those in other conditions. And they think that it could be that this is a helpful adaptation to a chemical signal in triggering the kinds of fight or flight behaviors that could keep us alive in a dangerous situation. So they don't know what the threat of putrescin is warning us of, but something means when you smell death, run from it. When you smell death, get away from it. The scientists say, as a whole, the findings indicate even brief exposure to putrescin mobilizes threat management responses designed to cope with environmental threats. That these are the first results to show that a specific chemical compound, putrescin, can be processed as a threat signal. For their future research, they'd like to understand the precise nature of the threat produced by putrescin. Is it microbial? Are we have a threat of disease? Is it predatory? Are we worried that there's a predator lurking about that caused the death that we're running from? They think that that's relevant to both of those issues, but they'd like to determine which type of threat is more primary, more important. So if you react very strongly to the smell of rotting flesh or rotting something gross in your refrigerator, there's apparently a biological reason for that. This study comes out of the journal Frontiers in Psychology. So they'll do more research on the smell of death. Mm. You know what? That story seemed relevant because it's Halloween almost. Um, I wanted to do this surgery. I have a story about music surgery, so I'm talking. Let's do the lotto of the day before we move into Travel Tuesday, because I think we have time for Travel Tuesday. So this is a Powerball related story, and it's about luck, of course, as it always is, and chance and what motivates us to play the lottery. This man ended up playing the Powerball. He's from Maryland, and he had this really bad habit of buying the ticket and then not bothering to check the ticket. So he let them accumulate these Powerball tickets in his car. And he'd just been driving around and had this stack of tickets. So someone gets into his car, a passenger, a friend, and sees this stack of Powerball tickets in his car. And the passenger says, "Listen, it's time to check these and see if any of them are actual winners." He'd accumulated all of these Powerball tickets in the vehicle. So they go and they check the tickets. There was a few $4 and $7 winners, but when scanning the tickets with a lottery app, one of them popped up as a $50,000 winner. So this person has been driving around for months with a $50,000 winner in the vehicle. The winner said, "Scan it again, scan it again." Then he said, "I went home and I looked up the winning numbers online. I had to just keep checking this because I couldn't believe it." This is a common refrain, yes? The ticket was purchased from Bel Air Looney's Pub in Hartford County, Maryland. The winner is going to put the money into the savings account. So that's good. Okay, let's do it. Let's go to Mendocino because here it is. I got it. Travel Tuesday. Woohoo! And we are going to see the beautiful, amazing coastline of Mendocino. And this comes from roadtrippingcalifornia.com. And it is a list of the 17 most magical things to do when you are in Mendocino, California. And one of the biggest things on the list is hiking. They really want you to go hiking. And one of the best places to go hiking is this area called Russian Gulch. It is a beautiful area. It's let's see. It's compared to Point Lobos State Park on the Big Sur coast because of its long coastline, but Russian Gulch is just north of Mendocino. And so they say if you are a lover of the outdoors, if you just like to get out in nature, that this is the place that you must go. Russian Gulch. It is so beautiful, almost like you're in another world. And we could probably save it for tomorrow, but waterfalls galore at Russian Gulch. So, so pretty. It's a moderately strenuous hike around Fern Canyon and Falls Loop Trail, but you get to see this 36-foot waterfall. There's a variety of habitats, including redwoods, rhododendrons in the spring. So if you have the time, this is the trail to hike in Russian Gulch State Park. Again, that's Fern Canyon and Falls Loop Trail. They do say there are longer, more difficult trails that you can take, especially if this one is closed. There's a shorter, easy one called Headlands Trail. It leads to the Devil's Punch Bowl overlook. And during high tide, there's a sea cave with a churning basin of frothy water. If you're at water level, there are beaches and coves to explore and tide pools where you can look for little sea creatures. So, pretty cool. And I will say, downtown Mendocino is number 2 on the list, and there are a lot of beautiful things to see. They say it is one of the most picturesque towns in California, this Victorian village of Mendocino, which sits on a bluff on the ocean on the side of Highway 1. And it's a really fun place to walk around and check out all these old buildings and all of these little shops and the history of this area. Here's a picture of what we're looking at here. I know it's kind of a weird shaped photo, but uh, it is a great place to stroll. The little town, they say, has a lot of beautiful Victorian architecture. The streets are lined with one of a kind boutique shops and art galleries. Some of the favorite spots: the Gallery Bookshop, the Highlights Gallery, the Village Toy Store, Mendocino Jams and Preserves. That there are all kinds of things you can go home with. They have Mendocino mustard. Speaking of pralines or pralines, they have a praline pecan sauce. Ms. Organic might like that. There's a Prentice Gallery featuring works by local artists. So really, really beautiful. And of course, you can't really go to Mendocino without a trip along the coastline, which is so incredibly wild and rugged and beautiful. So that is number 3 on the list. Do you think it would be number 1? The hike was number 1. Here's a different kind of hike, and this will take you along the coast. And look at that. How beautiful is it? The Mendocino Headlands State Park has miles of easy trails that'll take you along the bluffs. A lot of great places to take pictures here. As we spoke about before, the sea caves, the arches along the coastline as well. They say that the Mendocino Headland State Park, you must stroll along this area because the views are incredible. There is Big River Beach, where you can access this from a cliff trail and steps that go down to the sand, or you could even just drive right up to it. It is the most popular beach on this stretch of coast, Big River Beach. It's still, compared to other beaches in California, pretty uncrowded. The beach is constantly changing because it's shaped by the river and the ocean. The wide, sandy Big River Beach, great for sunbathing or walking. They say bring a blanket and a picnic meal, spend some time watching the waves and the seabirds as well. And then you can explore the sea caves when it's low tide, only when it's low tide. That visitors enjoy splashing the shallow waves at Big River Beach, but you do have to be really careful about the sneaker waves out here. The bluffs, also be super careful because they're really fragile because of erosion and they could give way under your weight. So stay away from the edges at all parks in the area or at overlooks along the coast. Going to be really, really careful. I know. Sorry, said as a mom, right? The visitor center isn't bad either. This is an historic house called the Ford House Museum. It was built by Jerome Ford in 1854, the superintendent of the first sawmill in Mendocino. They have a scale model of Mendocino as it was in 1890 and videos on a number of topics, historical photos and documents, docent-led tours as well. Another great spot, and again, stay away from the crumbling cliff sides, is this area called Mendocino Bay Viewpoint. It is a short trail leading from the bluffs just south of the mouth of Big River for a great view of the village across the bay. So this is another spot not to be missed in Mendocino. And here it is. So you go down this trail and there you have it. Then you can take the picture of the village across the bay. So that's pretty beautiful. There's a bench there that you can sit on and relax for a bit. They say you can bring a picnic meal while you appreciate the view, look for whales in the water, and look for seabirds. Just beautiful place to breathe in the ocean air. They think this is definitely the place to capture. And speaking of birds, there's a lot of cool bird watching in the Mendocino area. As a matter of fact, there's this place called Big River Hall Road. It runs 10 miles from Big River Beach to Mendocino Woodland State Park. And you can hike or you can bike this area, and it is prime bird watching. Prime. So here is an example of some of the little creatures that you might encounter on your trip. Hello, look how cute he is. There are blackberries to pick along the route in the summer. You can also go horseback riding on this trail as well. Lots of wildflowers, birds to observe, including kingfishers, cormorants, blue herons. Lots of ocean views, so you'll likely see otters playing in the water and harbor seals right at the mouth of the river. Towering redwoods and Douglas fir trees, historic structures from an old railroad. Big River Trail, they say, is one of the best things to do in Mendocino County. Another fun thing to do is to check out Jug Handles State Park. I'm not kidding on the name. It's Jug Handles State Natural Reserve, and it's home to many unusual flora, including a pygmy forest. It's about 5 miles north of the village of Mendocino, and if you enjoy plants, this is an area that you would not want to miss. When I travel with my mom, I'm always looking for places to go that include plants because she loves gardening and she loves the greenery and the plants and the forests. Here's a picture of this, a pygmy forest. It's a 5-mile hike out and back, the ecological staircase trail. It takes you up from the bluffs and through the redwoods. Sounds like over the river and through the woods, right? Up from the bluffs and through the redwoods along a series of 3 terraces into this pygmy forest where the stunted trees are super, super old. Bolander pine, dwarf manzanita, pygmy cypress. If you don't have very much time, you can just check out part of the trail along the headlands for spectacular ocean views. And there's a staircase leading down to the beach where you can walk at low tide as well. They say you shouldn't swim in this area. The waves are really rough here. So if you do want to stay and look at the beautiful views, you should bring a picnic lunch and then use the tables up by the parking area. I love ocean kayaking, and I've only done it once, but I had the best time. So, one of the best things to do in Mendocino is to kayak the Big River. So, that's another thing that you can do. And here is a picture of these. I mean, you can use the newer plastic boats or an older wooden boat, but kayaking down the river is on the list of magical things to do. You can do it by kayak, canoe, paddleboard. This estuary area is about 8 miles long and it's calm. They say it's a class 1 waterway. So it's easy paddling for you. They say, and you can see this here, try a redwood outrigger canoe because they're really stable. They're available in different sizes. They're handcrafted from wood repurposed from old redwood barns, which is, they say, a uniquely Mendocino way to enjoy the river. You can also go on a guided cruise during the summer. And one of the benefits of that is it will allow you to focus on the scenery. You'll be able to take pictures of birds and wildlife along the way, the harbor seals, the otters, all of these things. One of the other cool things to see, magical places to visit in Mendocino, is the Point Cabrillo Light Station, which is, it looks to me like an old lighthouse, which is really beautiful. It's along they say it's one of the most beautiful lighthouses along the California coast. And I am telling you, it is. This makes me want to go at sunrise or sunset to this incredible lighthouse. So pretty. Here's a shot of this. Check this out. Oh, here it is. Just wow, right? Imagine standing on the beach, taking that in. So, so pretty. The Point Cabrillo Light Station State Historic Park is 3 miles north of Mendocino Village. You've got the lighthouse, the light keepers' houses, there's three of them, and outbuildings. You can do a self-guided tour here of the bottom floor of the lighthouse and the first assistant lightkeeper's cottage, which is now a museum. The tower can only be visited on a few days a year on a guided tour. So most of the time it's a self-guided situation. But they say the grounds of the light station are worth exploring. Look for whales in season, dolphins, porpoises, seals, sea lions, and a variety of birds as you walk along the ocean trails. You can also view Frolic Cove. It's the site of the wreck of the clipper brig Frolic in the mid 19th century. And that is what actually caused this light station to be built, that crash. You can actually stay at the head lightkeeper's house or the assistant lightkeeper's house when you visit Mendocino. And there are some cute cottages available for rent in this area as well. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we already kind of went to the pygmy forest, but what about a cruise through the redwood forests? I mean, yeah. Well, Van Dam State Park also has an easy to access pygmy forest. They say the trail is only a quarter of a mile, so super short walk. It's fully accessible with a boardwalk and interpretive plaques, and it's a great place to keep your eye out for some birds in this area as well. Here's a picture of what it looks like. Great place to walk. I kind of don't want to get rid of the lighthouse picture. So beautiful. Here's Van Dam State Park. Allows you to see all of these habitats, hiking and biking trails. Van Dam Beach is also a popular kayaking spot. There's some tide pooling here as well, and some good things to do. You can't go to Mendocino, I call it Mendocino, um, without a nice wine tasting. This is really close to the Anderson Valley. And so it's a great place to get your wine on, they say. And why wouldn't you, right? Taste your wine with the fresh ocean air that you're smelling, a little cheese on the plate, some cherries, some wine. You've got the birds flying overhead. You've got the crashing ocean in the background. That sounds pretty magical to me. There are wine tasting tours of wineries in the nearby Anderson Valley. So if you're on your way in from San Francisco or on the trip back, might as well stop. Mendocino is known for its organic wine grapes. Did we know this? Especially Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. Roederer Estate, they've got some nice sparkling wines. Lula Cellars, Handley Cellars as well. That one is close to town. So pretty nice. You can also, if you are headed to Mendocino, tour the Kelly House Museum. Isn't it fun to go into these old Victorian buildings and take a look at how people used to live? Look at that. I love the architecture of these old places. If you enjoy learning about the history of places that you visit, this is the museum for you. It's called the Kelly House Museum, Kelly with an EY at the end. They are dedicated to preserving the history of the Mendocino coast. They've got artifacts and photos on display. Oh, beautiful. And I'm not usually a fan of museums, but I don't know. It kind of gets me in the ocean frame of mind to look at this next picture. This is the Mendocino Art Center. And I love all the ocean related art and the glass waves. Look at that. Blue glass, sea glass, waves, pictures of ocean kelp. That's the Mendocino Arts Center, and it is on the list of magical things to do. It's on a bluff overlooking the ocean. It exhibits the work of local artists. They have classes there as well that you can take. They have paintings, ceramics, photographs, sketches, sculptures by many Northern California artists. And again, go ahead and sign up for a class. One of the other things on the list is the Temple of Quan Tai, who was the Chinese god of war. And there's a beautiful temple here that is very significant to the Chinese community in the 19th century. There was even at one point a Chinatown in Mendocino. And so this stands as a piece of history to that time. And it's a really beautiful building that's well cared for and a magical place to visit. And there is the Temple of Quan Tai, originally built in the late 19th century and restored in 2001. It is a California historic landmark, thought to be the first Chinese joss house in rural California. The original fabric with the image of Quan Tai was damaged apparently recently, but you can still see an image of the deity. There are other ceremonial objects here. This temple is open for tours and by appointment, so you can go check that out. Another, and of course, list on the most magical things to do in Mendocino, and we are coming to the end of it. I know I'm going over time, is whale watching. Because how can you go to a place like this with the most beautiful scenery in the middle of whale season and not go on a whale watching tour? Sometimes you can see them from shore, but whale watching tours can be incredibly spectacular. The gray whales migrate south in the winter to the warm waters of Baja. In the spring, they make the journey north to their feeding grounds in the Arctic seas. So if you visit Mendocino between the months of November and April, put the whale watching tour on your itinerary. There's a great opportunity as these creatures pass through to see them spout, fluke, or even breach. So again, you can see them from shore, but a whale watching tour is an enjoyable way to look for them. There's even a whale festival in Mendocino in the month of March. You can see humpback whales off the coast April through November as well. They're a little further out. Sometimes you can spot one from shore, but again, the whale watching tours, incredible. The last thing I'll say just quickly is that if you do head up to Mendocino, maybe you're looking for some food to put in your Airbnb or your hotel room, they have a farmer's market on Friday afternoons, May through November. So if you're visiting, they say you'll love browsing this California farmer's market. There's fresh produce, seasonal fruit, nuts, oils, cheeses, prepared foods. The things here are bursting with flavor. So pretty fun. Also, they say that north of Mendocino, if you're going to go up a little further, the town of Fort Bragg, and somewhere I've never been but always wanted to go is that glass beach. You've heard of it, right? The glass beach with little bits of glass everywhere. Anyway, if you're in the area, might as well. And those are the most magical things to see and do in the community of Mendocino. And that, my friends, is Travel Tuesday. There it is. Woo! All right. Thank you for indulging me. I know I'm going a little bit long on this show, but I really appreciate it. You know what? This is cool because I hear you guys are saying your traveling days are over. Well, not with us. Mm-mm, not with us. On Travel Tuesday, we do virtual traveling. You feel like you've been there, and you should leave this show rested, more relaxed, having taken a deep breath when looking at beautiful things. So there you go. Your traveling days are not over because you're here. Because you are here, Rhonda. Yep, we did it. B.A. Ware says the town of Mendocino has experienced water shortages because of an historic drought and the reliance on shallow wells. Hopefully, they're not still having that. Not sure. I know. Isn't that beautiful? A page right out of a lighthouse calendar you had last year. I, I, I don't doubt it because that is incredible. That shot. Yeah. Makes you want to go there right at sunset, stand on the beach, or even book a room out there. So pretty. All right, going to the chat to look a little bit before we go. Mama says, my niece's grandparents live in Fort Bragg. She goes to that glass beach when she visits them. I've always wanted to go. I don't know why. It's not like I live so far away. I just haven't been there. Oh, all right. Oh, Be Aware says, I've been to Glass Beach. It's smaller than I expected. Really? Interesting. Karen says we used to go out to Bodega Bay and Schoolhouse Beach. That's in my neck of the woods, so that's where I go. Schoolhouse Beach is one of my favorites. To watch whales and go dream about someday going to Hawaii. And aren't you in Hawaii right now? So look at you go. Absolutely. Karen says my bucket list includes taking a whale watching trip on a boat. I have been on them, although my family, for whatever reason, doesn't want to go when we go to Monterey. But I have been on 2 whale watching excursions over the years in Hawaii, and I can tell you that though the boats stay back from the whales with good reason, you know, not only because it's the right thing to do, but also the law, you're supposed to stay back from them. It's the most exhilarating feeling to see a humpback whale leap out of the sea and you're so close. It's so cool. Yeah, I highly recommend it. If you can ever make that happen, I say yes. I say yes. All right, tough life, but someone's got to do it. Time to go live your life on this Tuesday. Tomorrow on the Mark Thompson Show, Professor Andrew Fracknoy will come and talk to us about comets and cool things to see in the sky. We'll talk to John Rothman as well. I think we'll have Belinda Weymouth on the show to talk about the environment. I hope you have a really great rest of your day. I'll be looking for waterfalls. So if there's anybody that wants to send me in a certain direction, please feel free to email me, kim@theafterparty.live, the best way to do it. Thank you for all the emails. Thank you for all the support. Huge thank you to Wes for the $5 PayPal. Also to Rhonda, who threw down a $5 super chat here as well. There it is. Love right back and all my aloha to you. And thank you to everyone who supports the show. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, make it a really good day. Bye-bye.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.